Welcome to LinguaWire English B1. Today, we have two stories: Google's new hardware line and the ferry disaster on Lake Kariba. To help you follow today's episode, full transcripts and vocabulary lookups are available at linguawire.com. Google's 2026 hardware lineup. Now we go to Owen, our LinguaWire correspondent for technology.
Google has shown its new hardware for 2026. The message is clear: this year is more about AI and small changes than about a big new design.
So the phones are not being completely redesigned.
Exactly. The Pixel 11 series looks very close to last year's phones. Those already followed the design style Google introduced with the Pixel 9. There are some small updates, but nothing that feels like a full reset.
So Google seems to want people to focus on what the phones can do, not just how they look.
Yes, that is a fair way to put it. Google is putting more attention on Gemini, its AI system. It is also focusing on how the phone feels in daily use.
What is the most noticeable new feature?
On the Pro models, it is a feature called HiLight. It is a ring of small RGB lights inside the camera flash area on the back of the phone. It lights up when you are talking to Gemini.
So you can tell the phone is listening or working even if the screen is face down.
Yes. HiLight also works for calls from selected contacts. That includes standard phone calls and voice calls in WhatsApp.
That is clever, but also quite limited.
It is limited in a very Google-like way. It does not work for every app, so you cannot use it for every kind of alert.
And the regular Pixel still misses out?
Yes, the base Pixel 11 does not get HiLight. Google has kept that feature for the Pro phones. That is a common way to separate the more expensive model from the cheaper one.
What about the rest of the hardware?
There are several smaller updates. The camera bar is smaller on the base model. The screens are brighter. Google says the glass is now twice as resistant to scratching. There is also a new Pixel Watch 5. The same overall message applies there too. More refinement, and less surprise.
Was there anything weaker in the new range?
Yes, and that is the battery story. The flat phones all have slightly smaller batteries than before. The Pixel 11 Pro Fold loses a bigger amount. Google still says the phones should last 24 plus hours.
That is a real trade-off. Lighter design and new features, but not more battery.
Right. Google also says the new Tensor G6 chip uses less power and makes the phones faster. The company gives a 20% boost in efficiency, plus faster browsing and app loading. But it has not shared full chip details.
So the company is making a lot of claims, but not giving every technical answer.
That is true. Another new product is the Pixel Tag, a small tracker device that works with the Find Hub network. It is Google's answer to products like Apple's AirTag. It can be more precise when it is near a phone with ultra-wideband, like the Pro Pixels.
And the phones are already on sale?
Yes, orders are open now. The phones will run Android 17 and get 7 years of updates. Google is clearly more interested in talking about what Gemini can do. That includes calling businesses and helping with tasks like rides and shopping.
The ferry sinking in Zimbabwe. Now we go to Mia, our LinguaWire correspondent for news.
At least 44 people have died after a ferry sank on Lake Kariba in Zimbabwe. Officials say the search is still going on.
That is a serious toll. What do we know about the ferry itself?
Police say the ferry was hit by a strong wave and overturned. A lake official had reported that 120 people were on board, including 12 children. That was despite the boat having a much lower stated capacity.
So there is already a concern about overcrowding.
Yes, and that is one of the hard questions now. The Civil Protection Unit said ticket records showed 114 adult passengers, but there may also have been children below ticket age. So officials are still trying to work out the full number of people on the vessel.
That uncertainty makes rescue work harder too, I imagine.
It does. So far, 77 people have been rescued, but police later said 44 bodies had been recovered, up from an earlier figure of 15. That shows how the picture changed over a short time.
And the president has stepped in.
Yes, President Emerson Mnangagwa declared a state of disaster. The government says that should help bring in more resources for search and rescue. That includes an army boat squadron, a police sub-aqua unit, and a private helicopter.
That sounds like a big operation on a very difficult lake.
It is. Lake Kariba is very large, and it sits on the border with Zambia. It is important for transport, fishing, and power. So many people depend on it every day. But bad weather there can turn a normal crossing into a dangerous one very quickly.
Do we know why the boat was traveling in bad weather?
Not yet in a full official way. An eyewitness said the boat may have been hit by a wave. The witness also said the engines then switched off. That is still one witness's account, not a final finding.
And there are also questions about the start of the journey, right?
Yes. A local lawmaker posted a video. She said residents had been travelling across the lake to Kariba town, which is about 5 hours away. She also said officials must release the correct number of people who were on board. So this is now not only a rescue story, but also a story about accountability and records.
That final point feels important. In disasters, the numbers matter as much as the images.
They do. The number of rescued people, the number still missing, and the real number on the ferry all affect the response. For families, those numbers are not abstract at all. They decide what people know and what happens next.
Here are 3 words from the ferry story. First, rescue. Rescue means helping people get out of danger. In the story, rescue was used for the people who were rescued from the lake. Example: the rescue team worked all night after the flood. Second, overturn. Overturn means to turn over, so the top and bottom switch places. In the story, the ferry overturned after the wave hit it. Example: the strong wind can overturn a small boat. Third, disaster. Disaster means a very serious event that causes great harm. In the story, the president declared a state of disaster. Example: the fire was a disaster for the whole neighborhood. Now for 1 grammar point, have been plus past participle. We use this structure to talk about something that happened to people or things, often with an important result now. Example 1, 44 bodies have been recovered. Example 2, 77 people have been rescued. Repeat after me, have been rescued. New this month, the LinguaWire Field Guide. For every news theme, it gives you the 50 keywords to know, the most important verbs and conjugations that cover 90% of the full month's news podcast episodes, and lesson sheets on the fundamentals, how sentences are built, how the articles work, with flashcard practice to test yourself on all of it. Find it at linguawire.com guide.